Have you ever felt that a relationship leaves you without energy? As if each encounter was a silent battle that leaves you exhausted? Or on the contrary, have you experienced that feeling of fullness after being with someone, as if your soul had been nourished? Today we're going to delve into one of the deepest and most transformative aspects of Jungian psychology: how to identify if a relationship is healing your soul or slowly wearing it down. Carl Jung, that brilliant explorer of the unconscious, left us invaluable tools to understand our relationships from a much deeper level than the superficial "I like them" or "we don't get along." What Jung understood, and what many of us overlook, is that our relationships are perfect mirrors of our inner world. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you ended a call or a meeting with someone and felt inexplicably exhausted, as if they had absorbed all your vital energy? And conversely, how many times have you been with someone and felt that time flies, that you're full of inspiration and vitality? According to Jung, these are not coincidences. They are direct signals from your unconscious. The unconscious, that mysterious part of our psyche that Jung studied so deeply, is constantly communicating with us. But in a world full of distractions, we rarely stop to listen. And this is where our disconnection begins. Imagine for a moment that you're in a relationship, whether romantic, friendship, or family, where you constantly feel judged, misunderstood, or simply empty after each interaction. Your body knows it. Your soul knows it. But your conscious mind, that rational part that tries to find logical explanations for everything, begins to create justifications. They're going through a rough time. That's just their personality. I should be more understanding. And this is where Jung would invite us to stop and reflect, because those feelings of discomfort, that drained energy, that feeling of not being enough, are not coincidences. They are direct messages from your inner being, telling you that something is not aligned. Jung's theory of individuation, that process of becoming who you truly are, teaches us that relationships that nourish our being are those that allow us to express our authenticity without fear of judgment. They are those where we don't need to wear masks, where we don't have to repress parts of ourselves to be accepted. In contrast, relationships that drain our energy are those where we feel we must be someone else to fit in, where there is a constant feeling of being evaluated, where our boundaries are ignored, or where there is simply no balanced exchange of energy. Jung spoke of the concept of the shadow, those parts of ourselves that we repress or deny because they don't fit with our ideal self-image. And often, the people who irritate or drain us the most are those who reflect aspects of our shadow that we haven't yet integrated. It's as if our unconscious were telling us, "Look, here's something you need to work on." But how can we know with certainty if a relationship is nourishing our soul or wearing it down? Jung would give us some clues. First, pay attention to your energy after each interaction. Do you feel revitalized or exhausted? Full of ideas and possibilities, or confused and dull? Your body and your energy don't lie. Second, observe if you can be authentic in that relationship. Do you feel that you can express your thoughts, emotions, and desires without fear of rejection? Or do you find yourself calculating every word, fearing to offend or not be enough? Third, is there a balance in giving and receiving? Healthy relationships, according to Jung, are those where there is a balanced flow of energy, where both parties contribute and receive in similar proportions. Fourth, does that person respect your boundaries or constantly challenge them? Jung taught us that establishing clear boundaries is essential for a healthy psyche. If someone in your life doesn't respect those boundaries, it's a clear sign that something isn't working. And finally, does that relationship invite you to grow, to expand, to evolve? Or does it keep you stuck in familiar patterns, in comfort zones that, although safe, don't allow you to reach your potential? Let's put it in a more concrete context. Imagine you have a friend with whom every time you meet, you find yourself defending your points of view, justifying your decisions, or simply feeling inadequate. After each encounter, you feel a heaviness, as if you had been stripped of your vitality. Jung would say that this relationship is activating aspects of your shadow, parts of you that you haven't fully integrated yet. On the other hand, imagine a relationship where you feel completely free to be who you are, where your ideas, no matter how eccentric they may seem, are received with curiosity and respect, where you don't need to filter your thoughts or emotions. After each interaction, you feel inspired, full of life, as if you had been nourished on a deep level. This, according to Jung, is a relationship that is healing your soul. It's important to understand that Jung wasn't suggesting cutting off all relationships that challenge us or sometimes make us uncomfortable. In fact, he believed that often the most difficult relationships are those that have the greatest potential for our personal growth. But there's a crucial difference between a relationship that challenges us to grow and one that simply drains us. The difference lies in intention and the end result. A relationship that challenges us from a place of love and respect pushes us to evolve, to confront our shadows and integrate them. After the initial discomfort, there's a feeling of expansion, of having overcome a self-imposed limit. In contrast, a relationship that drains us does so from a place of judgment, control, or simple energetic incompatibility. There is no growth, only exhaustion. Jung also spoke to us about the concept of projection, that psychological mechanism where we attribute to others qualities, defects, or desires that are actually our own. Often, the people who irritate us the most or awaken intense emotions in us are simply reflecting parts of ourselves that we haven't recognized or accepted. That's why, before deciding if a relationship is nourishing or draining your soul, it's essential to look inward. Ask yourself, what exactly bothers me about this person? Could it be that I'm seeing in them something I don't want to see in myself? Or is it really an energetic incompatibility? This reflection isn't easy. It requires brutal honesty with yourself, a willingness to look at your own shadows and recognize that sometimes what bothers us in others is a reflection of what we don't want to face in ourselves. But it's also important to recognize that not all difficult relationships are simple projections. Sometimes there's simply no energetic resonance. Jung believed in the concept of synchronicity, those seemingly casual events that have a deep meaning. And sometimes we encounter people who, for reasons beyond logic, simply don't resonate with our frequency. It's not good or bad, it just is. It's as if each soul had its own melody, its own rhythm. And some melodies simply don't harmonize well together. There's no blame, no error, just a natural incompatibility. At this point, you'll be wondering, what do I do with all those relationships that I've identified as energy drains? Should I cut them off at the root? Jung would suggest a more nuanced approach. First, try to understand what that relationship is trying to teach you. Is there a lesson, a shadow that you need to integrate? If so, working on that integration can completely transform the dynamic of the relationship. Second, establish clear boundaries. Many relationships that drain energy do so because we allow them to. By establishing healthy boundaries, we can transform relationships that seemed irredeemably toxic. And third, if after honest reflection and establishing clear boundaries, the relationship continues to be a constant drain on your vital energy, it may be time to let it go. Not from a place of resentment or judgment, but from a deep respect for your own well-being and that of the other person. Because, as Jung taught us, we cannot give what we don't have. If we allow our relationships to wear us down to the point of emptiness, we not only harm ourselves, but also all those who depend on our energy and vitality. The true magic happens when we begin to consciously choose relationships that nourish our soul. Not from a place of need or dependence, but from a deep recognition of our own value. Imagine for a moment how your life would be if all your main relationships were sources of inspiration, support, growth, where each interaction filled you with energy instead of draining it, where you felt completely free to be authentic, to express your truths without fear of judgment or rejection. This isn't an unattainable dream. It's the natural result of choosing yourself, of honoring your inner being and establishing clear boundaries. Jung firmly believed that each of us has a unique purpose, a special contribution to make to the world. And often, relationships that drain our energy take us away from that purpose, distract us from our path. Instead, relationships that nourish our soul bring us closer to that purpose, support us on our journey of self-discovery and self-realization. Think about the people who have most positively influenced your life, those figures who, with their simple presence, have inspired you to be better, to explore new facets of yourself, to dream bigger. These are the relationships that Jung would encourage us to cultivate. And here's where many go wrong. They believe these nurturing relationships are rare, difficult to find. But the truth is, they're all around us, waiting to be recognized. The secret is to be open to them, to be willing to let go of the familiar that no longer serves us, to make room for the new that nourishes. And this brings us to another key Jungian concept: synchronicity. Jung believed that when we are aligned with our true being, the universe begins to conspire in our favor. The right people appear at the right time, opportunities open up, paths clear. But to experience this magic, we must first be willing to let go of what no longer serves us, to let go of relationships that drain our vital energy. It's an act of courage, no doubt, especially when those relationships have been part of our life for a long time. There's comfort in the familiar, even if the familiar harms us. But as Jung taught us, true growth occurs outside our comfort zone. It's in those moments of uncertainty, of change, where we find our true strength. And this is where many stop. The fear of the unknown, of loneliness, of being judged, keeps them trapped in relationships that drain their soul day after day. Does that sound familiar? Have you been in a relationship, whether romantic, friendship, or family, where every part of you knows you need to let it go, but fear keeps you trapped? Jung would say that this fear isn't yours, at least not completely. It's a collective fear, part of what he called the collective unconscious, those inherited psychic structures that we all share. Society has taught us that we must maintain relationships at all costs, that commitment means enduring, that letting go is a failure. But Jung would invite us to question these beliefs, to ask ourselves if they really resonate with our inner truth. Because at the end of the day, only you can know if a relationship is nourishing your soul or wearing it down. Only you can feel that energy, that resonance or dissonance. And this is where Jung's wisdom becomes so valuable. It gives us permission to trust our intuition, that inner voice that we often ignore in favor of logic or social expectations. Your body knows. Your soul knows. You just need to be still and present enough to listen. A simple practice that Jung would recommend is to take a moment after each significant interaction to notice how you feel, not just mentally, but energetically. Do you feel lighter or heavier, clearer or more confused, more inspired or more dull? These sensations are internal compasses, precise guides that show you if a relationship is aligned with your true being or if it's diverting you from your path. And if you discover that many of your current relationships are in the drain category, don't despair. There's no need to make drastic changes overnight. Jung believed in the power of gradual transformation, in conscious and reflective change. Start by establishing small boundaries, by making small adjustments in how you interact with those people. Observe how they react. Truly nourishing relationships will respect those boundaries, even if it initially causes confusion or discomfort. Meanwhile, begin to open yourself to new connections, to people who resonate with who you truly are. You might be surprised at how quickly they appear when you're truly open to receiving them. Synchronicity, that magical phenomenon that Jung described so beautifully, begins to manifest when we are aligned with our truth. The right people appear, situations align, everything begins to flow in a way that previously seemed impossible. Now, it's important to clarify that Jung didn't suggest that all our relationships should be perfect, without conflicts or challenges. In fact, he believed that conflicts, when handled with consciousness and respect, can be incredible opportunities for mutual growth. The difference is in the intention and the result. A conflict in a nourishing relationship arises from the desire to understand, to grow, to deepen the connection. There's a fundamental respect for the autonomy and well-being of the other. In contrast, a conflict in a draining relationship arises from fear, control, the need to be right at all costs. There's no true interest in mutual understanding, only in personal victory. Do you recognize these dynamics in your own relationships? Can you identify which nourish you and which drain you? This level of self-observation, of consciousness, is exactly what Jung promoted. He believed that true transformation begins with self-knowledge, with that honest and compassionate look inside ourselves. And here's where many go wrong. They believe they must be perfect, that they must have all the answers before making any change. But Jung would teach us that perfection is not the goal. Integration is. Integration means accepting all parts of yourself, even those that society or your own critical mind have labeled as bad or undesirable. It means recognizing that you have light and shadow, strengths and weaknesses, and that all these facets are part of who you are. And when you begin to accept yourself completely, something magical happens. You begin to attract relationships that also accept you completely. You no longer need to hide parts of yourself, no longer need to wear masks to be loved or respected. This is what Jung would call self-actualization, that state of being where you're living in alignment with your true self, where your relationships reflect your authenticity instead of your fear. And although this path may seem challenging, even lonely at times, Jung would assure us that it's worth it. Because on the other side of that challenge is a life full of relationships that truly nourish your soul, that support you on your journey, that celebrate your uniqueness. Imagine waking up each day surrounded by people who see your light, who respect your boundaries, who inspire you to be the best version of yourself. Imagine interactions that leave you energized, motivated, full of possibilities. This isn't an unattainable dream. It's your birthright. It's the natural result of choosing yourself, of honoring your inner being, and having the courage to establish clear boundaries. Each time you say no to a relationship that drains your energy, you're saying yes to yourself. You're affirming your value, your dignity, your right to experience connections that truly nourish you. And with each yes to yourself, you're creating space for relationships that resonate with your truth to enter your life, that support your growth, that celebrate your uniqueness. Jung believed that each of us has a unique purpose, a special contribution to make to the world. And often, relationships that drain our energy take us away from that purpose, distract us from our path. Instead, relationships that nourish our soul bring us closer to that purpose, support us on our journey of self-discovery and self-realization. So I invite you to reflect. What relationships in your life are truly nourishing your soul? Which ones are slowly wearing it down? And most importantly, what small step can you take today to begin transforming those dynamics? Remember, as Jung taught us, change begins with consciousness. And today, by taking the time to read this, you've already taken the first step toward more conscious and nourishing relationships. You're not alone on this journey. Millions of souls around the world are awakening, choosing themselves, seeking more authentic and deep connections. And each time one of us has the courage to transform our relationships, to move from draining patterns to nourishing dynamics, we're contributing to a collective evolution of consciousness. Imagine a world where every interaction is based on mutual respect, authenticity, the genuine desire to support each other in growth and evolution. This world begins with you, with your daily choices, with your courage to establish boundaries, with your willingness to be authentic even when it's uncomfortable. And yes, there will be challenges along the way. There will be moments when you'll be tempted to go back to old patterns, to familiar relationships, even if they're draining. There will be people who won't understand your transformation, who will resist or even try to sabotage it. But as Jung would remind us, the path to individuation, to becoming who you truly are, has never been easy. It's a path that requires courage, commitment, and a deep trust in your own process. And each time you choose to honor your truth, Each time you establish a clear boundary, each time you say yes to relationships that nourish your soul, you're strengthening that trust. You're building a solid foundation of self-dignity upon which all your relationships can flourish. So the next time you interact with someone, pay attention, not just to what they say or do, but to how they make you feel, to the energy that remains after they've gone, to the sensation in your body, in your heart, in your spirit. Because as Jung taught us, that sensation is your most reliable guide. It's your inner being speaking to you, showing you the way toward relationships that truly nourish your soul. And if you listen to that voice, if you trust that guide, you'll find a level of connection and authenticity that you perhaps didn't even know was possible. You'll find relationships that support you, that inspire you, that see you completely and love you as you are. This is the gift that Jung wanted for all of us. A life full of relationships that nourish our soul, that support our evolution, that celebrate our uniqueness, and that gift is within your reach. It only requires one choice, the choice to honor your truth, to establish clear boundaries, and to have the courage to seek relationships that truly resonate with who you are at the deepest level. So today, right now, make that choice. Choose to nourish your soul. Choose relationships that inspire you, that support you, that celebrate you. Choose to live from your authenticity, from your truth, from your power. Because, as Jung would teach us, when you choose yourself, the entire universe begins to conspire in your favor. The right people appear, opportunities open up, paths clear. And in that state of alignment, of self-actualization, you discover that truly nourishing relationships aren't as rare as you thought. They're all around you, waiting to be recognized, waiting for you to have the courage to say yes to your own light. If this message has resonated with you, if you feel there's truth in these words, I invite you to share it with those who might benefit from hearing it. Perhaps you know someone who's struggling with draining relationships, someone who's seeking a greater level of authenticity and connection in their life. Sharing is a powerful way to contribute to the collective awakening, to support others on their own journey of self-discovery and transformation. And if this topic interests you, if you want to delve deeper into Jung's wisdom and how to apply it in your daily life, I invite you to subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications, and leave a comment sharing your own experience. What relationships in your life truly nourish your soul? Have you had the courage to establish boundaries in relationships that wear you down? Have you experienced that magical feeling of synchronicity when you're living from your authenticity? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Your vulnerability, your honesty can be the light that guides another on their own path, because as Jung deeply understood, we're all connected. We're all part of that great collective unconscious, that invisible network that unites all souls, all hearts, all spirits. And each time one of us awakens, each time one chooses to live from authenticity, from self-love, from truth, we elevate the collective consciousness a little more. So today, right now, make that choice. Choose relationships that nourish your soul. Choose to live from your truth. Choose self-love, self-dignity, authenticity. And watch how, slowly but with certainty, your entire world begins to transform. Because, as Jung taught us, the exterior always reflects the interior. When you change, the world around you also changes. When you choose yourself, the universe also chooses you. This is the magic of life. This is the wisdom that Jung left us. This is the path toward relationships that truly nourish your soul, that support you in your evolution, that celebrate you exactly as you are. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your openness, for your courage, for your willingness to explore these deep truths. Always remember, you are worthy of relationships that nourish your soul. You are worthy of being seen, valued, celebrated in your totality. You are worthy of love, of respect, of authentic and deep connections. Choose that for yourself. Every day, in every interaction, in every relationship. Choose what truly nourishes your soul, and watch how your entire life transforms. See you in the next video, where we'll continue exploring these deep truths, these paths toward a more authentic, more conscious, more fulfilled life. Until then, keep your light shining. The world needs your authenticity, your truth, your uniqueness. The world needs you to choose relationships that nourish your soul, that inspire you to be the best version of yourself. Because when we shine, we give permission to others to do the same. And thus, little by little, relationship by relationship, heart by heart, we transform the entire world.